There are a few sneaky rules in Disney World that you might completely miss and end up breaking. If it's truly by accident, you won't get kicked out of the parks, but we're here to let you know the rules you need to stay aware of to keep yourself out of any tricky or awkward situations. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. You've snapped a photo where you're not supposed to, and suddenly you're surrounded by cast members telling you to delete that picture. Or you've angered dozens of other guests because you hopped into what you thought was the end of the line, but really you just skipped half the line. There are a lot of Disney World rules you can break without even knowing, and while a friendly cast member will let you know you're in the wrong, it's best to brush up on your knowledge so you don't make these mistakes. Okay, first up is skipping the line by accident. Accidentally skipping the line because no one even knows where the line begins nowadays is basically something I feel like we've all done at least once at this point. How awesome would it be to see the time on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train says 60 minutes, but it almost looks like you walk right on? I mean, who wouldn't jump right into that line? But with queue changes due to social distancing, you may need to hunt to find the real end of the line. There are some interesting routes being used, including looping guests past restaurants or cutting a line at an odd place so other guests not going on the attraction can still get past. There are cast members with wait time signs that are supposed to help you find the end of the line, but sometimes you can't even find them, let alone the end of the line. Where the line starts isn't always blatantly marked either, so it can be hard to know where exactly to get in line. You could walk up thinking you're getting into the back of the queue only to find that you are in one of those breaking points that allows other guests to pass through. Now, to find that elusive back of the line, the best thing to do is be on the lookout for those cast members who are holding up that sign that marks the end of the line. If you don't see one of those, absolutely ask a cast member near the front where the end of the line actually is. They'll be more than happy to direct you. We actually have maps over at DisneyFoodblog.com to help you navigate the current confusing setup of lines as well as store entrances, because getting into a shop can be a lot more complicated than anyone expected these days as well. Speaking of, accidentally exiting through an entrance or vice versa is also an issue you may run into right now. Although we've seen some of the rules about going into a shop or restaurant one way and leaving another loosened in the past couple of months, you'll still see lots of designated exits and entrances around Disney World stores that have never been there before. You may see arrows on the ground pointing in the direction you're supposed to go, or you'll see actual entrance and exit signage on the ground to designate an entrance as one or the other. Many of the shops have multiple entrances and exits, some have only one, so you'll definitely want to look for that. The ones with only one entrance and one exit might have a line of guests waiting until the capacity in the store has decreased enough for them to go in. This is especially true at the Emporium on Main Street and Memento Mori by Haunted Mansion. The whole idea behind this is to help control the flow of guests going into and coming out of a particular location and to help maintain social distancing inside a shop, restaurant, or attraction. It is easier to maintain control over the capacity restrictions if cast members, who you will see communicating the entrance and exit of guests on walkie-talkies, only have to watch out for one or two entrances and exits. As capacity restrictions loosen up, you won't see this as big of a deal, but it may catch you off guard to see a location still enforcing these rules as we transition back into normal. So keep an eye out and stay up to date on all the latest Disney World capacity updates and other rules by signing up for our newsletter. The link is in the description right below this video, and we get you the information as soon as it is announced. All right, you're going to hear an announcement on many rides and in theater shows around Disney World asking you to not use flash photography. But that doesn't mean your phone or camera hear that, and this is a rule you can break accidentally if you didn't double check your camera's flash setting before snapping a picture on a ride. The big thing about flash photography is that it really can ruin the ride experience for someone else. Also, there are people with medical conditions that could be triggered by your flash photography. So it's not just rude in that it ruins that theme park magic, it could seriously impact someone else's vacation by causing them a medical emergency. Some attractions that ban flash photography do it because it's a safety hazard for entertainers and performers. Spook one horse with a flash picture, and not only are we challenging just how brave Merida is, but the flash photography could really result in a serious injury. And that goes for cast members on stage as well. Now, you may not even realize this is still a rule, and we get it, but if you've missed the signs, didn't hear the cast members' live announcement, and ignored the recorded overhead message, you're hearing it here. No flash photography. Just turn off your little flash lightning bolt before you even get on any rides in Disney World. Now, if you're into all things Disney, you might be really psyched to get a free look backstage when that long line you're in to get on a ride suddenly winds back where guests rarely get to go. Backstage areas are typically only for cast members, but sometimes Disney has to get creative with where those long lines go, and sometimes they weave into backstage areas. This has happened to us in line for Rise of the Resistance over in Hollywood Studios, where we've suddenly ended up behind the scenes at Muppets 3D. There are often signs that will warn you against taking photos backstage, and when there aren't signs, there's usually a cast member to let you know that you can't take pictures. Sometimes things are a little more convoluted, like when you're on a ride and the lights come on and you're about to be evacuated. You are considered backstage and you aren't supposed to take photos. Well, cast members will typically ask you not to film as you're literally being evacuated, because it's definitely a safety hazard to be filming as you're walking down the inside track of Splash Mountain. But if you're still sitting in your ride vehicle, no one's going to stop you from filming the ride with all the lights on. For Disney nerds, this can be awesome, but for most people, getting evacuated from a ride isn't going to be the high point of their vacation. If you ignore this rule, a cast member may ask you to delete the photos, but if you're causing trouble, this is one broken rule that can get you tossed out of the parks. You can be asked to leave property, and by asked, we mean you will be escorted out of the park without a refund. And there are even documented incidents where someone has been banned for life from the theme park for taking backstage video, on purpose and not a first offense, but Disney takes this very seriously. Even if you're on a backstage tour that you paid hundreds of dollars for, you'll be told that once you step backstage, you cannot take photos. All right, as of 2019, smoking is not allowed inside any of the Disney World parks. For a while, there were designated smoking areas, but those have been removed, and you'll need to completely exit the park and head to a specific locale to have a cigarette or vape. But things are a little less cut and dry in Disney Springs and at Disney World hotels, where there are still designated smoking areas. You'll find 5 smoking areas in Disney Springs, and you'll typically find them near entrances to Disney Springs, near parking lots, and away from as many guests as possible. At hotels, this is going to be a similar situation. Smoking areas will be located in out-of-the-way locations to help reduce the amount of cigarette smoke that other guests will encounter. You must trek to these locations. No smoking on your hotel balcony, even if you are spending hundreds for that room. This is a really easy one to overlook if you aren't up to date on all of Disney's rules regarding where you can and cannot smoke. So when in doubt, ask a cast member where it's allowed. All right, next we're going to talk about trading with fake pins. This is one of those instances where you want to do your research and make sure you're buying your secondhand pins from a reputable source, because there are a lot of fake pins out there. Oftentimes you can find authentic Disney pins on eBay or Amazon, but you'll want to do your research because you don't want to end up with some fakes that you're trying to trade in the parks. How do you spot fakes? Well, the colors may not be as vibrant, the details may be off, or there may be details missing, like pupils in a character's eye. If the enamel doesn't cover the metalwork, or a hidden Mickey is oddly shaped and kind of blurry, then your pin might be a fake. If you're finding an incredible deal for a $1 or $2 pin, it's probably too good to be true. Some cast members will be able to spot a fake and let you know they can't trade it, but sometimes fakes do make it into pin trading boards. Buy your pins from reputable stores. Directly from Shop Disney or from stores in the parks will be your safest bet. If you're looking to save some money and get into pin trading, there are starter packs, usually themed to a particular movie or group of characters, and they run about $15. Now, this next one is not a hard and fast rule. It's not a law, but we've seen cast members ask guests to not hold a table at a counter service location until they have their food. Now, I get it. It makes sense to grab a table early. You have little kids who are hungry. You have to get into line and wait for your tray, then corral your kids and hope you can find a table right away. This can be especially bad if you eat during peak hours or if you go when the parks are crowded. And sometimes it's just easier to send everyone to a table and just have one person get the food. Maybe you don't want your kids to see they can get ice cream or cake with their breakfast, or you don't want your husband, who's on a diet, to know he could have pulled pork instead of the salad you're ordering for him. But when someone in your group is waiting in line or waiting on a mobile order, someone else who already has their food could have sat, finished eating, and freed up that table for you. On a super busy day, you might take 20 or 30 minutes to get your food, and someone else could have used the table you're holding to finish their meal in that amount of time. Cast members are usually around, and they can help you find an open table when you do have your food, and this will help keep things moving, and more people will be able to get a table to eat their lunch if there are fewer people holding spots for 30 minutes while they get their food. All right, you want to be real careful about this next one because it's very tempting. The ducks around Disney World are very cute. Those big white birds and those big egrets are beautiful and all of them will try to get some of your popcorn or lunch, but please do not share with them. These are wild animals, and human food is not good for them or their system, nor is learning to rely on human food, which unfortunately is what they've done. Plus, again, wild animals, they could bite you or your kids. And I know, the baby ducks are the most adorable thing you've ever seen, but please do not pick them up or pet them. It's unsafe for you and for them. This one is also a non-Disney rule. Don't go picking up wild ducks in your neighborhood either. And finally, resort hopping. Disney World still has some stricter rules in place when it comes to visiting hotels you aren't staying in and don't have a dining reservation for. And this is a COVID rule. Once these are rolled back, resort hopping is open and available for everyone. But as of right now, technically, the only reasons you should be in a Disney resort is because you're staying there or you have a dining reservation there. If you're driving, you'll be asked by security when you pull in if you have a reservation either to stay or to dine, and they'll verify that you should be there. Things will likely start to change, and you'll probably be able to resort hop freely again and visit no reservation spots like bars and lounges and other hotels soon. But for right now, if you want to check out a hotel you aren't staying at, you'll want to make sure you have that dining reservation. Mobile ordering from quick service restaurants has been hit or miss for us. Sometimes that can grant you entry to a hotel, and sometimes it can't. It's basically at the discretion of the cast member at the hotel entrance. Now, although it's super hard to get banned from the Disney parks for life, there are a lot of rules that could get you in trouble that you don't even know you're breaking. The rules are all posted on the Disney website, so it might not be a bad idea before you head out on vacation to take a look at the rules and make sure you stay on the straight and narrow. The rules are in place for your safety and the safety of those around you, as you know. And true, some of these aren't hard and fast Disney laws, but they are still important for you to be considerate of other guests and to kind of keep the flow of traffic going, especially those counter service locations. So thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.